I actually think like the number one skill or trait a product person can have is curiosity, and it's a little bit deeper than curiosity, so I was trying to think of a better word for it. It's like a second question in everything, I think, is probably one of the number one traits, and that might sound weird, and this is why I think curiosity, because like curiosity, if you get presented with a data set, you can kind of take that data set and say, okay, that's truth, right? But then you could also question the data set. You could say, well, how old is this data? Who did we survey to get this data? Is that survey biased? And what you're doing is kind of like pulling it apart. And this is, I think, the number one skill that product people have, which is to pull things apart. And you've got to get really good at doing that in order to really avoid things like bias. Because if you just take it at face value, that data set could be biased. If you, like, it's the same with like asking questions in interviews. If you just ask like, do you like this? Like, that's not enough. It's like, well, why do you like this? Or even get deeper in that, which is, well, when have you done something similar before? And how have you done it? Can you talk me through a time where you've been presented with this challenge? Like, those questions are much more impactful and pertinent and powerful. And I think only through that curiosity and wanting to kind of get there, and also second question in everything. So it's like, just because this is a great idea, or just because our competitors did it, or just because whatever. Yeah. Again, ripping it apart. Well, should we do it? Why should we do it? What are all the unintended consequences that might happen as a result of this? And really that kind of skill to do that, I think, is one of the top ones. And that skill sits a lot in strategy and discovery, right? Like being able to kind of pull things apart and understand it, and then seek to understand, because it's not just pulling it apart. You don't need to go and get the information, and that's why I think curiosity, because curious people do that, right?